You are Locked On Astros Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, that was not fun as the Astros drop a wild for a while and weird baseball game to the Boston Red Sox. Their first loss to Boston in 2024. Now 4-1 against them. We have a lot to get into today on the Locked On Astros Postcast. The first base situation, something I want to address tonight, because even if the Astros aren't in a dead set spot, I feel like you got a little bit of a look tonight at why the Astros need to keep doing what they're doing. I will talk about this loss overall. We'll also talk about Blanco. And are you concerned? One of those bad nights for Blanco out there on the mound. Lot to get into, and we'll do that across this entire show here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. I am your host, by the way, Michael Connor. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you are new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it as the channel continues to grow. You guys did it last night. You pulled it off. You got us over that 1,700 subscriber mark. I am so appreciative of it. And let's keep this train moving down the tracks. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Astros Postcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV and YouTube. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. So, this game, weird from the jump, right? Immediately come out, down 3 runs. I mean, just nothing about it felt right. And it's like, oh, good Lord, here it comes tonight. They're going to get slapped around. Blanco's going to have a just horrendous start. Didn't have a good start by any means at all. But the good news is they fight right back in the very next inning. And of course, it looked like for a second they were going to find a way to screw it up and not get the runs in. But guess what they did? They got a big home run from John Singleton on top of it. By the way, as we do this show at this moment, wanted to give you a quick update. As we sit here right now, it's the bottom of the third in Los Angeles. The Mariners are beating the Dodgers. So if that game stays in that trend, the Mariners will be picking up a game on the Astros tonight and be 4 games back in the standings in the American League West. So, but it's just one of those weird games, right? Then you take a 4-3 lead, hold on to it for an inning, give it back, give up a couple more runs, come right back, tie the game back up, and then you hold all the way till the 8th inning, and Caleb Ort gives up a home run to Duran. And honestly, he should be suspended for life after what happened the other day. I don't know why they allowed him to play the baseball game tonight. Shame on you, Rob Manfred. Shame on you. Those things happen. The Astros pitching staff, outside of Blanco tonight, did their job overall. You can't expect a bullpen to always go out there and be perfect behind the Red Sox bullpen tonight for being such an awful bullpen. You have to give them credit. That terrible bullpen that's got like a ERA north of 6 or something since the All-Star break, they gave up no runs and 1 hit tonight. The Astros are honestly lucky to an extent as well that they did not give up more runs than they did. Because if there was one issue with the Astros pitching staff tonight, the total number of walks. Now, half of them came from your starter, being Blanco, but there was 8 walks allowed by Astros pitching tonight. That's just not good enough. When it comes to the story of how the Astros didn't score enough runs, you could probably point to the similar type of things. Runners in scoring position tonight, the team went just 0 for 8. I say went just 4. They went 0 for 8. They left 4 men on base in the game. It wasn't as sloppy of a game tonight compared to last night, I think both ways, but it was just weird. Everything about it was weird, and it was back and forth. But I will say this, for me, going through it, I never sat there and thought, yeah, the Astros are going to lose this baseball game tonight. Just felt like they didn't eventually pull it out, get themselves a victory. But can't win them all, right? Can't beat the Red Sox all 6 times you face them this year. Now you're just going to have to go 5-1 against them, which they will do tomorrow in game number, I should say they'll try to do tomorrow in game number 3, the rubber match of this 3-game series. 1:10 first pitch tomorrow afternoon. So as soon as that game wraps up, right here on this channel, about 4:30-ish, 4 o'clock, there's one thing that's a guarantee. And I don't understand what it is, still to this day, even with the pitch clock. When you play the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees, those games are always going to take forever. Now, tonight was less than 3 hours, but they're slow-moving games. I don't know what it is about those two franchises. They do not play fast baseball games. And tonight was one of those nights as well. Also happens when you have a lot of back and forth, have a lot of runs, have a lot of guys on base. Interesting to see. One thing I did want to hit on here as we started the show, in terms of decision making tonight for this baseball team, there at the end of the baseball game, you saw Victor Caratini get the pinch hit opportunity. We'll see if Alex Bregman's in the lineup tomorrow. I would imagine he will be. He had his bat in his hand. He has gloves on. He was ready to get up there to the plate. But I thought it was interesting. He's clearly not feeling it all the way. It's going to make a weird dynamic for this Astros baseball team. Yordan Alvarez, I get the feeling, is about to have to play a lot of left field, like all the time. Because it feels like Bregman and the Astros probably have a little bit more going on in that elbow than what they want you to believe. That's just me going off of history of how the Astros treat injuries. But at the end of the game there, Joe Ibotta, you're down by a run, goes with Victor Caratini, who has been his best pinch hitter this season. It's not even close. He's been great. He was great last night, 3 for 3 night last night. But I think it just tells you everything about the elbow still not being all the way there for Bregman, that they don't go to him in that situation. Because if you pulled up the numbers, Caratini versus Bregman in their careers against Kenley Jansen, this is regular season only. This doesn't factor in Bregman in the postseason because he's got more hits off of Jansen, 2 more hits at least in the postseason off of Jansen, a home run and a single. 4 for 7 lifetime for Bregman with a double and a home run, 3 runs batted in. That's a 571 clip. So if you added in those other 2 hits, which I think those are the only 2, I have to go back and look, but he's got at least 6 career hits against Kenley Jansen. Victor Caratini came into this one 0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts against Kenley Jansen. That didn't decide the baseball game for the Astros tonight, by any means, of course. That was decided when they couldn't score runs at the end of the game, and the Red Sox got the one swing of the bat that they needed into the Crawford boxes to get the victory in the baseball game tonight. But I just thought it was a little bit interesting. I will keep an eye out to see if Joe Ibotta says anything, if it's addressed in the post-game press conference. I'm sure Chandler Rome or Brian McTaggart or one of them will have something on it, because I'm sure it's a question that's going to be asked because it needs to be asked. You've got him up there, all ready to go. Why not go to him in that spot? So interesting little nugget of the baseball game that I did want to bring up there. We want to talk about the first base situation a little bit, but I also want to talk about the concerns of what today meant for the Astros, who are in a period of time now where they're playing a lot of baseball games in a lot of days without any days off. They will not have an off day until the 3rd of September. Today is the 20th of August. That is a lot of ground to cover, and I will talk about my concerns with that after this quick message right here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. FanDuel.com. Have you been there? Well, you should get there. Go check out all the lines across all the games, all the action. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season game Sunday afternoon out of market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnMLB to download America's #1 sports book. Hi, Locked On Astros Postcast. On a Tuesday night, I'm your host, Michael Connor. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you are new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. You can find this show anywhere that you get your podcast. Go ahead and search for Locked On Astros. You will get this show and the Locked On Astros show every single day for free. Brett and Eric do a great job. Make sure you're checking out what they do. Also, make sure that you go to their YouTube page and hit the subscribe button as well. You guys have been amazing to this channel. I, again, am so appreciative of it because it's been fantastic. The numbers have just skyrocketed the entire time. We hit that 1,700 mark last night. So on the climb to 1,800. We're getting there by the weekend. I'm calling my shot. Astros in Baltimore this weekend. Tomorrow they're going to wrap up this quick 6-game homestand as they'll go 110 for the first pitch. And it will be Justin Verlander on the mound. Talk about him in just a second and, what has me concerned for tomorrow and where this team is moving over the next few days, given the pitching situation tonight. And then we'll get into Ronel Blanco, his performance as well before we call it a night here on the Locked On Astros Postcast. By the way, tomorrow's starter for Boston will be a man named Cooper Criswell. Sounds made up, I know. It's not. It's a real person that breathes, that has arms and legs, and throws baseball. Don't know how well he throws it, but he throws it. His career number's not very good. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Let's talk real quick the first base situation. It's been a weird spot. The Astros, and I get it. They brought up Zinzo, and you need to give him some looks. I can't really make the case for a great night for this guy, but John Singleton hit the home run in the first inning. The 2-run jack tied the baseball game up. Did strike out 3 times after that. I think you're gonna live with John Singleton doing that, striking out. I think you're also going to appreciate that John Singleton has a very good eye for the strike zone and typically isn't going to put himself into situations where he's going down on like 3 pitches. He's going to work the counts. He had a really good at bat. What was that? That was one of his at bats late in the game where he worked it to a 3-2 count and just fouled him off, and eventually went down on that fastball up in the zone at like 96. I think that you are just going to need to live with that a little bit. DeZenzo probably not completely ready for the big leagues yet, and that's okay. That's okay. There's also been when they've subbed in, Yiner over there at first. There's been now John, for a big boy, John moves pretty well. He's a big boy, and he's clearly the most fluid first baseman of them all. He's clearly played it his entire life. I know that I think we brought this up last night. Yeah, because Yiner made a really bad play, and it's just going to take a lot of time and a lot of work for him to get comfortable and fluid at first base. He's okay in spurts here and there to play first base. You can't play him there every day, obviously. Dubon has worked really hard at it. He's still not a natural first baseman. You see the natural first baseman in John Singleton, and everybody probably laughing at that, going, "Oh, natural first baseman, that's not a thing. You just put your big, fat, slow guy over there usually, and you're okay." Now, look, I take offense to that because I spent my entire baseball life all the way through high school playing first base. And you know what? Us first basemen, we have feelings too. And yeah, I might be an old washed up, hadn't played first base, and good Lord, how long's it been now? I don't even want to do the math. I don't. It's gonna be 20 years. It's been 15 years. Dear Lord, that's insane. I still got my first baseman mitt somewhere, but John's got all the natural ability to pick it over there at first. He makes good plays. I think defensively, he's honestly your best option overall over there. And then, the at-bats still are probably better. And I think the thing with Singleton at first base is that he provides the element of being dangerous. Dubon does not have that kind of bat where he's going to run into one and hit it 400 feet or change the game, or he can, hit you a 3-run jack. Singleton's powers come along this season, and it's a credit to him for staying ready because they have kind of screwed with his playing time a little bit. Is he a perfect situation? And no, absolutely not. You can only play him at first base typically against the right-handed pitchers. That's fine. You platoon it kind of thing. Get somebody else in there against the lefties, whether it is Dubon or a day for Diaz or even DeCenzo a little bit here and there. That's okay. But I really do think, for the most part, against right-handed pitching, you got to go back to giving Singleton the looks. I just think that's I think that's what you got to do. And it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see if they can figure out a way to make this whole situation over there work. I don't know. I just would like to see that a little bit more. Let's talk now about the pitching. We're going to talk specifically on Blanco here in just a second. But Blanco tonight was not good, and he was only able to get through 3 2/3 innings. I wanted to say 4. I was like, no, he didn't get through 4. 3 2/3 innings, 5 runs, 6 hits, 6 strikeouts, 4 walks. ERAs jumped up to 3.14. But it's the ramifications of tonight that matter. So tomorrow the Astros are going to welcome back Justin Verlander to the rotation. And Justin Verlander is coming off of a neck injury where he has not pitched for quite some time at the big league level. Only made 2 rehab starts. And in his last rehab start, he only built up to 57 pitches. How far can he go tomorrow? Honestly, 75? Can he get 80? I don't know. I really don't. And, he hasn't pitched since June the 9th. And in his last 2 starts before he went on the injured list, he threw 5 innings in each of them. That's the one thing he hasn't done all that well consistently this year is get super deep into games. So, they had to blow through a ton of bullpen. And you saw, look, Joe Ibotta played it like a guy that had to blow through his bullpen tonight. He did not go to his high leverage guys at all. Just didn't happen. So you hope that you get 75 pitches out of Verlander tomorrow. But then I go back and I'm looking at his pitch totals this year. He was always still around 100. But he's not pitch efficient in most of the starts that he's made. Overall, it wasn't completely there. He had that little run at the end of May in 2 starts against Oakland and Seattle. And then after that, he's throwing 104 pitches in 5 innings and 101 pitches in 5 innings. If that guy shows up tomorrow, you're getting 3 innings out of him. And then what are you doing? I don't know. It's going to be a day where you wear out the rubber arm of Seth Martinez, who's back up for who knows how long, and anybody else that's available. And if the game is close or you're winning, then you get to the high leverage guys at the end of it. And you really need to hope, honestly, what your hope should be is that you're playing this Red Sox team tomorrow and the bats go off and do their thing like they are capable of doing against this Red Sox pitching staff. Because if you could go out and blow this thing up a little bit and run away with it for a second, I think that, you could probably find a way to avoid using all those guys. Because, again, the weekend coming up is kind of a big deal. 4 games in Baltimore against the Orioles. Which, by the way, all those games, 608, 605, 305, and 610 this weekend. They got picked up for Sunday Night Baseball. We'll be with you for all of them a little bit earlier. Not going to make me mad about it. But that's 4 really tough games against a team that's really good. and a team that you still need to chase to an extent, because the Astros, like we mentioned last night, losing any game hurts, but they still have an outside chance at getting to the second best record in the American League in terms of division winners. And if they were able to pull that off, they get a bye in the first round of the postseason. So that's they're playing for the division win first. They still have a lot of work to do to get there. But there also is that caveat of this of that's one of those teams that, that Baltimore team that's right there. Simple as that. It's going to be a tough stretch. And they're a little pitching thin. I think one thing that will be interesting to watch over the next couple of days, if you did not see the news this morning, the Cubs released Hector Neris. And I did not expect, I just literally tweeted it out. How soon will he be back in the Astros bullpen? And it turned into this massive fight with people. You guys got to get a hobby on the internet sometimes. Y'all fight way too much about the dumbest things. If you don't think that Hector Neris coming back is a real possibility, I don't know what to tell you, because I'm telling you it's a real possibility. I even sent a text earlier today, and it's a real possibility. Well respected in the clubhouse. Players loved him. He was a leader in there. And the Astros are, look, it's nothing against Sean Dubin. And I got a lot of these people, they don't have anybody that could pitch him. They don't have any arms they could get rid of. Come on now. Sean Dubin exudes confidence in you. Come on. Experience does matter. He might not be having the best of years. I get that. That's part of the reason why the Cubs are letting him go. He hasn't been the worst in the world. They're also done trying to win games this season. But that's an arm that's out there. And I think it's going to be interesting to see if he somehow finds his way back to a place that I know he didn't want to leave and comfortable with him, I think it's just going to be something to watch, to monitor. And it might happen quickly if it is going to happen. Let's talk about Blanco's night, how rough it was. We'll do that next here in the Locked On Astros Postcast. Have you played PrizePicks yet? Well, if you haven't, I don't know what you're waiting for. I tell you guys all the time, it makes games so much more fun. Simple as that, because it's you against the numbers. That's it. It's you against the numbers. It's fun. It makes games exciting. I have a great time with it. You're picking every single night, more or less, on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You can watch those winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, run your game. Locked On Astros Postcast, rolling on a Tuesday night. Thank you for joining us. Your host, Michael Connor. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, whether you're watching this live or recorded. We do appreciate you for that. Checking in on the Mariners and the Dodgers, still 3-0, top of the fourth in Dodger Stadium between those two. Nothing changed in there, it looks like, at least for the moment. We'll see if they can find a way to claw their way back, can the Dodgers? That'd be nice if they could. The Astros lose tonight, and really I think the story of the baseball game, outside of the weirdness to it and the wildness to it, was Blanco, like we just mentioned. He's really put the Astros into a tough spot because he only went 3 2/3 tonight, and he was just not good. Pitch count was super high. I've said it before, and I do mean it when I say it. He looks like a guy that is a little bit worn out. He's never pitched this much in his life. His command, start by start, has really started to fade a little bit. And for a guy that earlier in the season, we were like, hey, staff ace, pitching like staff ace, he's still capable. I don't want to completely knock him out of that. Like, he still can miss bats. I mean, he had the lowest batting average against in all of baseball entering play tonight, well below 200. Giving up 6 hits is like not the norm for him this season. But you just go look at recent starts. I mean, look, over his last over his last 7 starts that he's made, he's 0-3 with a 4.93 ERA, 34 2/3 innings, 41 strikeouts, which is good, 15 walks, but he's allowed 19 earned runs and 29 hits, 1.27 whip in that span. And you just go back, look, his start against Tampa was good. That was a really good bounce back. But the 2 previous starts, really the 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive starts before that were all just, yeah. And tonight was the worst of them all. He went 5 2/3, 4 runs, 4 1/3, 4 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, which you could live with that one, actually. 4 innings, 2 runs, 3 runs, but 2 of them earned. And then, like I mentioned, the good one. It's just not been sharp. And I think you can kind of see as well what they're doing. They are getting pretty darn cautious with his pitch counts. They're keeping them down. Tonight they had to keep it down because, look, he just wasn't effective at all. I'm not writing him off. I'm not saying that he's a problem or anything. It's just I think he looks like a pitcher that the workload has caught up to him in this regular season. Here's to hoping that he can figure it out. Tomorrow, let's hope that Justin Verlander can figure it out. Again, a 1:10 first pitch to wrap up this series against the Boston Red Sox. The rubber match as they will try to go 5-1 against Boston this season. Justin Verlander will have the ball 3-2 on the season with a 3.95 ERA up against Cooper Criswell, who is 5-4 with a 4.56. So even though he's coming off of injury, the on-paper game still says advantage Astros tomorrow. You guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. We will talk to you tomorrow afternoon right here on the Locked On Astros Postcast.